Great job by Knapp there, just pouring smoke, and Lipton just fighting his way through it as they come down the hill. Lipton fighting to stay on the side of that BMW as they come across that inner clip. Chris punts that inner clip. He's coming in nice and hot to that fourth outer zone, but fills it completely. Great job up onto his door for outer zone number 5 of the People's Corner. Coming in across that reference point and transitioning up into the bank turn, outer zone number 6. Nice job, guys. Great run.
Chris Knapp definitely showcasing a great lead lap, giving Lipton plenty of real estate to play with behind him. If you guys are joining us on our live stream, you can check out the replay. Lipton a little late into outside zone 1, where Chris Knapp is locked and loaded. Transitioning out to outside 2, Lipton starts to clean up the proximity now and gets followed back into position going through outside 3. Knapp doing a great job going through the checklist. That front inside clip, no problems. Lipton's trying to chase him down to dump into outside 4. Chris Knapp did a solid job through outside 4 with Lipton shortly behind him. A great transition from Lipton to jump back into the People's Pleaser corner. Maybe a little too much bite as Chris Knapp pulls away. Lipton tries to get stabby as he hits back into position for the reference point and back up to the bank. A solid first lap out of Chris Knapp, and definitely looking forward to the second half of the battle. Now it's Lipton's turn and his Corvette to take the lead with Knapp to chase.
Yeah, Knapp's looked very, very consistent all day, even yesterday. I think from my perspective, it's got to be really tough to have the same car with 2 different sets of tires on for different parts of the competition. That would mess me up. But Knapp has shown us that he's a super consistent driver, very adaptable. So Lipton's going to have to definitely step it up here in the lead run if he wants to take the win.
Now, just as a reminder, our lead drivers have to go through our judges' checklist the best they possibly can. We're looking for 100-point leads. We want our lead driver to get in all these outside zones smoothly and confidently and make movements that are predictable between them. The chase driver, you just don't kill anybody.
Yeah, definitely not with this many witnesses.
All right, it looks like the lights are illuminated for the second half of this battle as Lipton and his Corvette is now taking the lead with Chris Knapp to chase. Chris Knapp piloting that JZ-powered 1 Series BMW. He's going to have to chase down that blue Corvette of Lipton as both drivers initiate. Lipton working his way into outside zone number 1. Clicks in a tad late, but Chris Knapp falls into position now as Lipton's going super deep through outside 1. It has to rotate out to outside 2. Lipton doing a good job. Knapp avoids outside 2 to get in the proximity to set himself up for outside 3. As Lipton is doing a good job keeping the wheel speed up as they work past that front inside clip into outside 4. Chris Knapp trying to close out that proximity now and fall into position where he's supposed to be as Lipton rotates that Corvette up at the People's Corner outside 5. Knapp, a little bite and a hiccup out of Chris Knapp in the chase position as Lipton floats out of the outside quarter 5 into outside 6. Both drivers keep it out of the bank wall, and Knapp a little bobble over the line, but nonetheless a clean run from both drivers.
Yeah, nice job. I think Lipton did a pretty decent job in lead, and same with Knapp in chase. We're going to get the replay up on the screen here so we can see them side by side. Lipton did have a little bit of a mistake in the first outer zone. I think that was 2 tires off, but again, our judges are going to take a closer look, and that is something that they look for. So aside from that, though, he totally saves the run. Super smooth through the center section, really smooth coming into outer zone number 4. Fills that nicely, getting all the way to the edge, so great job there. Even through the hairpin in outer zone number 5, Lipton's all the way at the edge. I feel like that's perfect execution of that zone as well. So unfortunately, just that error in the first outer zone. And Chris Knapp doing a great job of staying within proximity. So, I mean, Lipton might have even been slightly closer in the chase. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
It's definitely not making it easy for our judges today, but that's why this live stream, if you guys at home can get the same view that our judges are getting, both on Facebook and YouTube, Raceway Park, we have the side-by-side, both runs running side-by-side with, of course, the event sponsors running underneath. Make sure you show some love and support to the sponsors of this series that help get our drivers out on track. Without them, our drivers would have almost no purpose to show up here.
We do have a decision. We do have a decision for that battle. The judges did take a look at it side by side, and although it was very close, they felt that Chris Knapp had just a few more errors in the chase position than Lipton did. So Lipton will get the win. Lipton will get the win.
That means our left side of our top 8 is now locked in. We got Kenrick Meyer going up against Troy Manners. On the bottom side of the bracket, we got Brian Hopp versus Lipton, who just took the win against Chris Knapp's 1 Series. Our next battle, the green lights are illuminated. Looks like we got a clean start. We got Jonathan Nairn leading Grant Anderson. Both these drivers are wild men. Nairn dialing in that S14 all day, but that nitrous-powered E36 of Grant Anderson now getting walked away by the S14 of Jonathan Nairn through outside zone number 1. Both drivers transition to outside 2. Nairn doing a good job. Grant trying to make sacrifices, but Nairn's literally just pulling away with that rocket ship of a car. Grant doing everything he can. I don't think you can spray enough nitrous at that, bud. Nairn's just gone. Nairn pulling away at that outside zone just slightly, but Grant Anderson bus lengths behind him. Well, this is the high roller class, and you can run what you brung.
Yep.
Grant doesn't seem to have brought enough nitrous.
I mean, unfortunately, Grant did give him, in my opinion, too much room in the entire second half of that track, but not for nothing. Nairn did not fully fill outer zone 4 or 5. He was just at the very edge, so if I'm being picky, you know, I don't get to make the decision.
Well, this is where the advantage can come back to Grant, regardless of the speed and nature of his vehicle versus Nairn's. Nairn obviously has some horsepower and some tire underneath that machine to make it move, but Grant now has the responsibility of doing a better job at getting all the zones off the checklist. If he can get a better lead, in theory, that could give him the win.
Yeah, and exactly the same thing for Nairn. So if he can do a better chase than Grant did, now we're up in the air again. So they definitely both have their work cut out for them for this run. And while we're on this side of the bracket, we have 3 last man standing drivers all on this side of the bracket. And just to let everyone at home know what last man standing is, all of the drivers put some money in a pot, and the last man standing in the competition takes that entire pot. So exciting stuff.
All right, here we go. The second half of this battle as Grant Anderson takes the lead. Jonathan Nairn zooming in behind him. Both drivers initiate well before our last initiation point. Grant Anderson getting out to outside zone number 1. Checks into the box. Nairn just shy. He's trying to close that gap off as now he's locking into their proximity as both drivers transition to outside 2. Grant doing a good job checking off outside 2, but Nairn shortly behind him as both drivers come down the hill. Grant checks off outside 3, does a great job right past that inside clip. Nairn's holding his proximity around Grant as both drivers dump into outside 4. Grant, a much better job through outside 4 and has rotate up into outside 5. Grant, a solid drive through the people's corner, but Nairn shortly behind him. The supercharger sticking out of the S14 of Jonathan Nairn as it screams to the side of Grant's car as both drivers go up for a constant drive through outside 6.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm a fortune teller because exactly what I thought would happen happened. And Grant, I think, put down a slightly better lead as far as getting into the zones goes. That's only one part of the judging. We also have angle and style, so in that particular point would be line. So I think Grant had a better line on his lead run, but it's without question, I think Nairn had a much better chase. So the judges have their work cut out for them. I'm not jealous. I'm not a judge.
No, that's why I like talking into the stick. I just calls it like I sees it.
Team talkie stick. We can just say stuff, and people have to listen.
I mean, you guys don't. You can mute me.
True.
I won't be mad at you, but you're going to miss out on some pretty mediocre stuff.
Yeah, the judges have a tough job ahead of them of deciding a winner on that battle. Of course, we always have the option to go one more time. I have seen judges give it a one more time. If they think both drivers really didn't do their best, they can't pick a clear winner, it was a little sloppy, they'll sometimes award a one more time. So we'll see what they have to say. But we're zooming through this top 16 bracket where we have our other 2 drivers, Trevor Root and Rodriguez, on the line now. Trevor Root, another driver who has money in the last man standing pot. So let's see if we have a decision.
Trevor Root's locked into that lead position with that great E36, not afraid to turn that thing into an airplane throughout outside zone number 6. He's getting chased down by Rodriguez in that Yeek Fleet 350Z behind him, or next to him. He'll take that chase position. Root holding on to that last man standing money. He wants to make sure that he gets into the next bracket. He needs to take out he needs to surpass Nairn, who's also in the last man standing, and Dirk Stratton, who's on the bottom of the bracket. We have yet to see battle yet. So looking forward to watching those guys battle out for a completely sidebar that has nothing to do with the actual big checks when they win the box. So those 3 drivers have an opportunity to walk away with a couple $100 in cash just as a bonus.
All right, we do have a decision, and then we're going to send our next battle. Naren is going to get the win. Naren gets the win. Again, like we said before, the judges were splitting hairs. There was a lot of errors on both drivers' parts. They just believe that Naren put down a slightly cleaner run, slightly less errors than Grant. So he is going to get the win there and move on to our top 8.
Jumping into our next battle, we got Trevor Root in that lead position with Rodriguez to chase. The lights are illuminated. Root needs a clean exit of the chicane. Rodriguez in that 350Z right behind him. Looks like we have a clean start coming down into outside zone number 1. Both drivers initiate well before our last initiation point as Trevor Root rotates into outside 1. Rodriguez doing a good job. Now falling back a little bit as Root starts to put the power down as they rotate into outside 2. Root, a confident flick into outside 2 and down the hill into 3. Rodriguez falling back a little bit, but holding the same angle as Root, just doesn't have the same side bites as E36 does. Just as I say that, he starts cleaning up the rotation, going into outside 4. Root with a confident drive out of 4 into 5. Rodriguez doing a good job, a nice flick, but not enough momentum out of the Z to match the line placement of Root's car. As both drivers go down to the reference point, back up to the bank at outside zone number 6. Root, a nice confident line, and Rodriguez follows them through.
Yeah, give it up for both drivers. Great job there. We're going to get a replay here so we can go ahead and go over it. Root, again, with a super smooth, confident entry. Pretty good job filling outside zone number 1. Maybe leaves it just a little bit early. And Rodriguez is still within proximity until he gets down the hill here where he sort of leaves a gap. And I don't know, maybe a little error, a correction there. Some sort of shenanigans in the center section by Rodriguez as Root continues to widen that gap coming into outer zone number 5 and then transitioning across that reference point into outer zone number 6 as well. But the good news is we're going to flip those drivers around and allow Rodriguez to lead and Root to chase, and we'll see what they got.
As we say that, Rodriguez is locking himself into that lead position, sitting behind the chicane, waiting for those yellow lights to illuminate. It looks like Root has taken the long way, maybe a stop at Wawa.
Root is seeming to be taking advantage of the second part of this massive road course here at Raceway Park. The drivers have access to the backtrack to use for cool down purposes. So we know it's a little toasty here today. Drivers might be getting a little bit warm, so they are allowed to finish the lap off with some cool down before they come back to the line.
All right, it looks like the second half of this battle is ready to go underway. The yellow lights are illuminating. Green means go as Rodriguez works his way through the chicane. It looks like we got a clean start as Root chases him down into outside zone number 1. That Yeet Fleet 350Z doing a good job getting into outside zone 1 nice and early, but Root's right there and barking back at him. Rodriguez is doing a good job, maybe leaving outside 1 a little early, but Root's following him down through outside 2, down the hill into outside 3. Rodriguez doing a good job through outside 3, needs to rotate. Root doing a great transition behind that 350Z of Rodriguez as both drivers dump into outside 4. Root really showcasing what he can do with a pair of brakes underneath the BMW as he works into outside 5. Rodriguez giving a ton of real estate, pulls away out of the zone just slightly, but Root's right there on the backside. Root's BMW right on that backside of that 350Z as they roll into outside zone number 6. And Root, a wild shutoff there.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Again, I was just about to say how good of a job Root was doing in the chase position. Obviously, Rodriguez giving Root a great run to chase. It starts with a great lead run and allows Root to get on his door, which he was most of that run until we saw a little bit of a strange situation, Root sort of falling down on the back in his chase position. So the judges have the side-by-side that you guys are seeing at home, so they're going to take a look at each of those positions and come up with a winner.
And we do have a winner. Trevor Root will get the win. Trevor Root will move on, facing battle against Jonathan Naren.
Trevor Root's family and crew is here, and they're very excited to see him move on. He also is one of the drivers in the last man standing pot, so he will go up against Naren, and those two, someone's getting knocked out. Someone's getting a couple bucks richer off that battle.
Definitely a great showing from the Yeet Fleet guys. Both Alan and Rodriguez have come out here multiple times and always throw down some heaters. But up next, we got our next drivers pulling up to the line. Josiah piloting that FDF S14. He's going to take the lead position going up against Colette in her Corvette.
We had the pleasure of seeing both of these drivers tandem quite a bit in practice today. They're both looking absolutely dialed, looking really good, so this should be an interesting battle to watch.
Josiah and his machine are definitely very dialed in. Colette has been working herself throughout practice to a very confident drive on the late side. Her time in seat time with Josiah throughout practice, swapping back and forth roles, a very gentleman move from both of them.
Absolutely.
To allow that to happen. But now they are both dialed in and ready to take this on.
Some of the sportsmanship that we were talking about earlier, again, I don't know another sport where you would practice with your direct opponent just to put on a better battle for the fans. Like, this is why drifting is so cool to me personally, so I love to see it.
We're no moving blankets over the hood in the pits or anything like that. Josiah's here. He's ready to take his lead lap. We're waiting for those lights to illuminate. Colette in their Corvette to chase.
The lights are on and away they go. Josiah in his V8-powered FDF machine and Colette in her neon Corvette. Josiah entering super, super early, pouring on a ton of angle, allowing Colette to reel him in, kind of getting a little bit off course there and getting lost in the smoke. We cannot see the second driver, but there we go. A great save as we come down the hill to outer zone number 3. Both of these machines are absolutely pouring smoke. Josiah is moving through that center section, coming into outer zone number 4, doing a great job of filling that as well as we slow up to outer zone number 5 of the hairpin. And unfortunately, Colette goes a little bit wide, but again, great save there. She transitions over that reference point and up into the bank turn of outer zone number 6. Man, that was a fast run. That was a very smoky lead as well.
Kudos to Colette for navigating this entire course basically blind. But it really showed when she popped out of the smoke and she made her corrections and did what she needed to do, it started into a fight. When she got up here, obviously she got her Corvette into the dirt through the people's corner behind Josiah, but nonetheless, a blind run, but that lack of proximity falling into the smoke line like that is super dangerous. We've already seen cars go up into the tires today from losing sight or a mechanical failure or a combination. So kudos to Colette, but now it's her turn to smoke out Josiah as she takes the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It does lend to her confidence being able to navigate her machine through that smoke and even to make a few small errors like going off track a bit in the hairpin, but the save is what counts for me. So
that is milliseconds of reaction time to complete
Absolutely.
danger to make a decision. And those things are a learning curve. But here we go in the second half of the battle as Colette now takes the lead. Josiah clicks right to the side of the Corvette. A very confident tandem as Colette tries to fall into outside zone 1 as Josiah keeps his drift alive, starting the match in and falls into formation. Colette doing a good job into outside zone number 2, but Josiah is right on the backside of that Corvette as she rotates and checks off outside 3. Colette doing a great job through the center section here, almost pulling a gap away from Josiah's 14 as both drivers click into outside 4. She's a tad shy, but got in there late, and Josiah's really barking at the side, but Colette doing a fantastic job through the people's corner. Josiah's right on the backside. Colette standing on the throttle, can Josiah chase her up into that last outside zone. A tad shy, but a solid lap out of Colette, and a great chase out of Josiah in that FDF S14.
yeah, great job by these absolute smoke machines. Colette is looking super, super confident and smooth in the lead position. Again, just a few errors there in the lead position, but other than that, nothing to say. And then Josiah directly on her door the entire time. That is a great battle. And it does appear that we have a winner. And Josiah Felice will advance. Josiah moves on. I think it honestly came down to just a few more errors on Colette's part with the hairpin of the people's corner, and Josiah was pretty dialed in the chase. So a great run by both drivers.
Definitely love watching Colette figure out the gamblers. Every round she's getting more and more of a weapon and a threat to the field, and she's out here in the unlimited, the high roller class with a full machine against guys that have almost decades. They're old now. They're old men.
Yeah, Reese, you're old, buddy, but we still love you.
Our next battle, warming up their tires now, we got Dirk Stratton in that Chevrolet Corvette.
And he will go up against Thiago Costa in that FRS, I believe. Yeah, that thing has a pretty deep rumble to it. It's an interesting soundtrack. And Dirk Stratton is also the third driver in the last man standing pot. So if he advances, all three of our drivers who put money in are still in the game. So exciting.
We're looking for our last top 8 driver here. That Oracle Lightning Corvette of Stratton pulling up to the line against Costa. And I believe it's a BRZ, or at least BRZ badges.
Okay, I'll take that. They're very close, and I'm a little blind, so from this distance,
This
I will.
distance,
It is the
it's like
BRZ
yards.
blue, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's a great looking car, but here we go, right into the battle as Stratton's going to take the lead and Costa the chase. Waiting to illuminate it behind the grass hill, and here we go as Stratton initiates well before the last initiation point as Costa starting to bark to the side of the Corvette. Dirk really starting to put the power down and starting to walk away from Costa's BRZ as they exit outside 1 to get into outside 2. Costa trying to stay out of the smoke line here, trying to get a confident drive to catch back up to the Stratton Chevrolet Corvette of Dirk Stratton as he works his way through the inside clip and out to outside 4. Costa with a big shove, almost too much, driving almost completely blind in Stratton's smoke, trying to keep it under control. He needs to keep a solid lap and now force a mistake out of Stratton in his next as Stratton finishes off a commanding lead lap.
Yeah, we're seeing smoke strike again. I'm pretty sure Costa got stuck in Dirk Stratton's smoke towards outer zone number 4. And I think he did catch some dirt there, saw some dirt fly in the air. But, I mean, again, good save by the driver in the chase position, essentially driving blind. We can see the replay here up on the screen. Dirk Stratton doing a great job with outer zone number 3, coming across that center section and into outer zone number 4. Now, not straight to jail, but I would have liked him to go slightly deeper there if I'm being picky. Still, he saves it, does a great job in the hairpin there, fully filling that outer zone number 5 of the People's Corner, transitioning across that reference point and up into the bank turn. And unfortunately, after getting lost in the smoke there, Costa was not as close as we'd want him to be for the second half of that lap.
All right, we're going to bring him back. Stratton now has the responsibility of putting down a chase lap. He needs to chase down Costa's BRZ. Costa qualifying 11th today in our high roller class. He has to put down what we would consider a 100-point run, and I'll give the real estate for Stratton to play. But Stratton also can't make a mistake. Costa, with a big, heavy mistakes in his chase laps, are going to have to almost force a mistake out of Stratton, but he needs a smooth and confident drive in order to do that.
Absolutely. And, you know, stranger things have happened. We've seen a ton of comebacks in the Gambler history, so we're going to have to be on the edge of our seat for this one and see what these drivers can pull off.
All right, here we go. The second half of the battle now as Costa's BRZ takes the lead. Stratton's Corvette right behind him. Both drivers enter in and get into outside zone number 1. Costa super deep through outside 1 as Stratton almost following him all the way through. Costa's getting his marbles underneath him. His works into outside 2. Stratton starting to close the gap as they run down the hill into outside 3. Costa doing a good job going through the checklist now. He seems like he's got everything under control as Stratton gives him a little bit of space to dive into outside 4. Costa doing a good job, a nice wide line, a little shy off outside 4, but flicks back up into outside 5 for the People's Corner. Stratton's right behind him, though, barking at the side of that BRZ as Costa putting the power down now, trying to rotate back up to that last and outside zone, but Stratton Chevrolet Corvette right behind him.
2 clean runs. We've had clean runs all day. I'm very proud of these guys.
All right, it looks like we do have a winner. Dirk Stratton is going to take the win and take that last top 8 position. He'll go up against the FDF man himself. But we're going to pop back to the left side of the bracket. We'll have Kendrick Meyer going up against Troy Manners.
Yeah, to shed some light on that last battle you guys may still be seeing some replays of, I'm pretty sure we can all call this. It was just one extra error by Costa that really cost him the battle. But I'll be here for at least another hour. Please tell me how bad my jokes are.
All right, Kendrick Meyer is locked into his lead position, our number 1 qualifier here in the high roller class, waiting his turn to take Troy Manners down into the road course. Troy is an animal behind the wheel and is no stranger from getting down and dirty and doing exactly what he needs to do to put himself into a winning position. But Kendrick Meyer is a robot when it comes to a lead position. This dude can qualify like nobody's business. He can put down a lead, but then he's going to have to flip it back and then put it to the door of Troy. All right, here we go. We got the start of the battle as the green lights illuminate. Kenrick Meyer taking that lead position. Troy Manners to take the chase. Kenrick initiates a good dump out of Kenrick, getting into outside zone number 1 as Troy Manners falls into position behind him. Both drivers standing on the throttle, concluding outside 1. Troy pulls out of outside 1 a tad early to get in position for outside 2. Kenrick doing a good job down the hill, clicks off outside 2, and clicks off 3 as well. Troy trying to keep up with the VA power of Kenrick Meyer at E36 as both drivers dump into outside 4. Troy starting to bite now as Kenrick doing a good job through outside 4 as Troy now jumps to the side, maybe a little too early, but gets right back to the side of Kenrick, starts barking through his windows. Kenrick Meyer is doing a great job through the outside. Troy Manners starting to bark now as he sets himself up for an aggressive jump into a last outside zone. A bit shy and a bit shut down for Troy Manners behind Kenrick Meyer on the bank.
All right, that was an interesting. First of all, Kenrick's lead run, obviously you guys know why he was our #1 qualifier yesterday. Super smooth, super dialed, great job there. I did see some contact coming out of the people's corner, outer zone number 5 of the hairpin. So I don't know if because there was contact there that maybe Troy's car was slightly damaged, which is why he pulled out of drift in the bank turn.
Well, if you're not already tuned into the live stream at home, I'm watching it. You should watch it. It's Park on both Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you guys tune in. You can see the exact same drone footage and side-by-side replays myself and our judges are using. And it looks like Troy it may have shut off. It may have lost power.
Some sort of mechanical failure, potentially due to that contact point, but we're not be sure. We're going to make sure the drivers are cool to continue, and then we're going to flip them around and allow them to do battle in the opposite position.
It looks like, in my opinion, Troy didn't have enough feet for the pedals that his brain wanted. It looks like Troy bit up, maybe had to make a small correction and couldn't get back over to make the turbo on that car come back up. I'm not a big advocate of V8s, but that's why you drive a V8.
I think Troy did an absolutely fantastic job in the chase up until that point. Super aggressive. You could see him diving down on Kenrick in outer zone number 2. And, you know, sometimes we just throw it up there and hope it sticks, and it just doesn't. So it happens in drifting.
I mean, I've been talking about it all day. You have to be pre-active. You have to be already making decisions of where you think that driver is going to be, and then hold yourself back with patience. But that is a very, very difficult skill to achieve, but this is where the place to do it. This is the seat time. Make you guys sign up for the Raceway Park Gambler Series, both the 235 class and here at the High Rollers. And here's the second half of this battle as Troy Manners now takes the lead as Kenrick Meyer has to chase him down. Both drivers coming into outside zone number 1. Troy smacks back on the throttle, really sits that car back down through its outside zone and starts pulling away. Kenrick Meyer in the smoke, pops out a little late, trying to find out where Troy went as Troy's navigating down the hill here. Kenrick Meyer is trying to do his damnedest to get to the side of the Troy Manners S14 as both drivers work into outside 4. Troy avoiding outside 4, getting in late as Kenrick, holding his patience, jumps through the smoke through the people's corner. Kenrick doing a great job behind Troy, is now standing on the throttle, rotates back down to reference point, back up to that last final zone. A big shove out of Manor, a great shove out of Manor. And Kenrick with a safe chase behind.
Yeah, absolutely great lead run by again, in my personal corner. I would have liked him to be a little deeper in outer zone number 4, but you can tell that he left it all on the track. Super aggressive, super smoky run, trying to grab that lead, but I don't know if it'll be enough to get him the win.
And it's not officially. Kenrick Meyer is going to move on to the final 4. Kenrick Meyer gets the win, taking out Troy Manners. Our next battle up on the line, Lipton in his Corvette is going to be chasing down the man himself, Brian Hopp.
Brian Hopp qualifying 4th yesterday. He will lead in this battle, and Lipton will chase. We can see Hopp warming up the tires of that absolutely gnarly machine in the burnout box right now.
All right, it looks like Brian Hopp has got his machine warmed up and ready. He's locking himself into his lead position behind the chicane. Waiting for Lipton to finish warming up his tires in his Corvette, and we'll get this top 8 battle underway. We're looking for our second of the final 4 going against battle with Kenrick Meyer. The winner here will have to take on Kenny in the next set of brackets. And it looks like Lipton is done warming up his tires and is locking himself into the chase position where Brian is patiently waiting to take him down into the chute. All right, the lights are illuminated and green means go as Brian Hopp takes the lead out of the chicane. Lipton in his Corvette to chase. Brian Hopp blazing down, pulling away from Lipton's Corvette, but Lipton's starting to close it in now as they both initiate well before that last initiation point. Brian Hopp doing a good job getting into the outside zone, maybe a tad deep with one side of the axle, but Lipton right behind him sitting in the smoke trail. Brian super deep through outside 2, and Lipton trying to close out the proximity now as they roll down the hill to outside 3. Brian right past that first and only inside clip. Lipton on the outside of the track trying to chase down that monstrosity of an MA Motorsports S13. Both drivers come out of outside 4 and flick up into that people's quarter outside 5. Lipton starting to put the pressure on now as Brian starts to strive away from him. Laying down the horsepower now as Lipton's Corvette trying to just keep up, snap back to the proximity in the last outside zone. Lipton doing as much as he can to close it up, but that rocket shit of Brian Hopp is just pulling away from him. You guys can see at home, Brian Hopp initiated well before that last initiation point, and Lipton doing a great job exactly where you need to be, but you really see the mentalness of Brian Hopp's car exiting zones when it's really starting to accelerate itself. He has a massive set of tires on the backside of that thing, and Lipton's C5 Corvette, he's cheating angle. He's doing everything he can to put himself where he needs to be at the right time, but I think he just doesn't have enough machine to keep up with Brian. For you guys joining us on the live stream at home or here live in person, this is one of those things where aggression is going to save. Where that horsepower you don't have, you need to be preemptively where you should. This is a very hard battle as Brian Hopp is a veteran to doing things with cars that have absolutely no horsepower, just a plenum spacer. So now that he has a rocket ship underneath and a tool in his belt, he is fast. All right, here we go. The second half of the battle. Lipton in his Corvette now taking the chase, or the lead, I'm sorry. Lipton in the Corvette to lead, Brian Hopp to chase. Both drivers appear behind the grassy knoll here at Raceway Park, and they come down and initiate well before our last initiation point, going into outside zone number 1. Lipton doing a good job as Brian Hopp is poking the throttle. And Brian Hopp with a major shutdown. Lipton with a confident drive in front of him, but Brian Hopp, unfortunately, shutting it down. Lipton just needs to keep the car underneath him.
Unfortunate that Brian Hopp appears to be having a mechanical failure. And still look.
I believe that it may or may not be a clutch issue. I think they were diagnosing and or trying to fix that earlier. An unfortunate turn in events for Brian Hopp as he still fills outside 6.
One way or another. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We never want to let another driver move on because someone else broke. But it does happen in motorsports, especially when you have a car like Brian has that's squeezing every ounce of performance out of that thing. So unfortunately, it looks like a mechanical failure to Brian Hopp's car after outer zone number 1 is going to give him a 0 on that chase run.
I mean, I'm just going to call it like I see it. Unless you enjoy spending money, it seems like the 235 guys are having a better time.
I almost hate to agree with you, man. The 235 guys were jamming.
Hey, look, you got to do rocket ship stuff. You're going to blow stuff up. That's how stuff happens. But I know that Brian Hopp will get that thing dialed in and fixed, and he'll be back out here for another round of the Gambler. But unfortunately, his time here today is done, giving the win officially to Lipton.
So Lipton will see Kenrick Meyer in the final 4.
Now to the other side of the bracket. This is going to be a great battle. The rocket ship, Jonathan Nairn, taking that lead position. One of the last man standing going against another last man standing, Trevor Root, with that LSA supercharged VA-powered E36.
Someone's getting knocked out of the money right here. Let's go. The lights are on, and away they go. Nairn will lead, and Trevor Root will chase. Nairn coming in with a ton of speed, entering before that first cone of the 3-2-1 cones. screaming up the hill for that first outer zone, but Root is right on his door as we lose him through the smoke and pick him back up again, coming down through outer zone 2 to 3. Here's where we pick up some more speed, if you can believe it, across that inner clip and out to outer zone number 4. Can he do it? He's in the zone. I'd like it to be deeper, but he's in the zone. Outer zone number 5 of the People's Corner. He does a great job filling that. He actually pulls away from Trevor Root a little bit, coming across that reference point and up into the final turn.
And Naren,
that was a weird one.
well, he brought a ton of speed up into the bank and shoved it. And honestly, I think that was the wise choice. To instead of writing that car off today on that bank, I think he stomped on it knowing that's the only choice he had, but unfortunately it pulled his car, because it makes a crazy amount of mechanical, away from the zone, and he did not click off outside 6, which is giving a slight advantage to Trevor Root to be able to put down a lead to be a better lead. But now Naren behind him, he needs to do that with that thing screaming in his ear.
Yeah. This will absolutely come down to the second part of this battle, because like we said, it's not a terrible thing, but you are going to lose some points when you miss a zone like that. But like Mike said, I'd rather lose some points than total a car into that wall. That wall does not forgive at all.
Now, with that also being said, Trevor Root is no one to just give anything to. This guy will 100% hit that wall.
Yeah, I think we've watched him hit it a few times.
Yeah, he makes cars into airplanes, real aerodynamic from the back.
But hey, let's hope that he keeps it out of the wall this time. And again, he does have to make up some ground here, because although he had a great beginning, he did fall back in the chase position slightly after outer zone number 4. So that will be held against him there for the chase position.
I'm definitely looking forward to watching Naren navigate behind Trevor Root's E36 as he locks himself into the chase, as Trevor as well locks himself into the lead behind the chicane, waiting for the lights to illuminate.
Right, we have our drivers on the line. This time, Trevor Root in the lead position and Jonathan Naren in the chase position. The lights are on and away we go. Trevor Root looking to make up for those points he left in the chase, and Jonathan Naren looking to reel him in and out-chase Trevor Root. Here we go, leading up to the first outer zone. Trevor Root screaming up the hill, and Jonathan Naren right on his door. As we come around to that second outer zone, we lose him in the smoke temporarily as they come absolutely zooming down to the third outer zone. Trevor Root just kissing the first part of that zone as he comes around super fast into outer zone number 4. Does a pretty good job of filling that zone, but Jonathan Naren is absolutely knocking on the door as they come around to outer zone number 5. Trevor Root has his foot to the floor. He's really giving it all she's got, coming in up into outer zone number 6 of the bank turn. And that is how you do it.
Trevor Root doing a checklist, exactly what the judges need to see in the lead, and Naren maybe a little too much bite coming down the hill and shoveling the front. We're going to have to see how it weighs in the judges' eyes. You guys at home on the live screen are seeing the side-by-side. What I was just speaking on, you can see on the right side of your screen, Jonathan Naren chasing down Trevor Root through outside zone number 1. Root does a good job getting to outside 2. You can see Naren leaving 2, going to 3, and a wheel straighten, almost an understeer. So much bite and momentum underneath the backside of that S14 that I think it literally just lifted the front down the hill. He lost the front wheels, and unfortunately, that could be viewed as a major mistake in the judges' eyes. But nonetheless, a great chase from Naren for the rest of the lap.
Absolutely. These cars are just so hooked up and so ridiculous that a lot of times they're even harder to drive. So it's often we'll see these mistakes here from guys who are otherwise absolutely fantastic drivers.
Yeah, a lot of guys out here have machines that they've now shrank their spectrum of use down to the absolute performance. And you can see that there where Naren just didn't have the ability to hold that car back anymore, or maybe a choice prior that made him have forced that hand on him. And unfortunately, that mistake is going to cost him as Trevor Root moves on, holding on to his last man standing venture, taking out Jonathan Naren and his S14.
Here we go. We're going to send this battle as Josiah Falaise enters super early, super aggressive, but Dirk Stratton is knocking on the door of that S14 as they come around that first outer zone and transition completely lost in the smoke to the second outer zone. Dirk's doing a great job of staying on Josiah's door. Josiah is looking fast and smooth as he comes across that center section. Dirk diving into the door, maybe too hard. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Dirk's
Josiah
mad.
still looking very smooth as he comes into outer zone number 5 of the People's Corner, transitioning over top of that reference point and up into outer zone number 6. Josiah nice and high, and Dirk reeling him in the end there. Uh-oh.
An unfortunate turn of events for the Dirk Stratton Chevrolet Corvette that just went through, chasing down Josiah's FDF S14. Unfortunately, a bobble out of Stratton in the chase position. You can see them.
Outer zone 4, striking again. We've said this before, that center section where the inner clip is just allows drivers to be absolutely flat out, but they do need to slow up for that 4th outer zone. So as a chase driver, how close do you stay? When do you brake?
Well, I got to give credit to Dirk where credit is due. Looking back at the replay, it looks like he went full blind chasing Josiah into 4 and unfortunately just rode it out. Closed his eyes and rode it out, but popped out at the wrong space, but then showed a ton of aggression to fix it almost before the next zone. So hopefully he got it fixed and only got deducted in a single zone, but now it's his chance to put down a textbook lead run and allow Josiah to chase.
And away they go. This time, Dirk Stratton in the lead, Josiah Falaise giving chase. Dirk has a point to prove, and he enters super early way before that first cone. Coming to outer zone number 1, he's screaming up the hill, but Josiah and his cable machine are right on his door. Coming in blind to outer zone number 2, Josiah is right there in the pocket as they come down to outer zone number 3. Dirk just kissing the edge of that zone. They're looking good as they come across that center section. Moment of truth, outer zone number 4. Great job getting in that zone, but Josiah is not giving an inch. Dirk Stratton come around outer zone number 5 of the People's Corner. As they transition across that reference point and up into the bank turn, Josiah is absolutely with him still, putting on his door in the bank. Woo! Give it up.
Great chase lap out of Josiah in that FDF S14 chasing down Dirk Stratton, but let's give homage to Stratton because he gave him the real estate to play in. Josiah really barking all the way through, and it's going to pay off for him. He's going to take out Stratton. Josiah is going to officially take the win, moving on to the Final 4.
Hey, that means we also have some good news for Trevor Root and the Root team. He has officially just won the Last Man Standing pot because he is the last man standing.
Congratulations to the Root team on taking home some extra money. Make sure you stop by after the award ceremony to collect. All right, now we have our Final 4. We're going to go back to the left side of the bracket where Kenrick Meyer, our number 1 qualifier, is going to have to do battle against Lipton and his Corvette. Lipton has been walking through a couple tough battles, and he's sitting against another one where he's going to have to take out the number 1 qualifier from yesterday.
We need our final 4 drivers to head up to grid. Our final 4 drivers, as soon as they're good to battle, we need them to head up to grid. Kenrick Meyer and Lipton. Oh, there he is. He was just hiding. All right, so we have Kenrick Meyer. We need Lipton up to grid, and then we will run the second part of this final 4, Trevor Root and Josiah Falaise.
All right, Kenrick Meyer is back in the bark box, warming up his tires as we speak. Our number 1 qualifier from earlier is going up against Lipton and his Corvette. They're going to take one of the final spots in the finals here for the big checks. This is for the opportunity to stand on top of the box for all the dollars here. The high roller class is not also special because the whole pot from these drivers' entry fees are a percentage split.
Yeah, the house gets nothing here, so as many drivers enter is as big as the purse is. And with 16 drivers here, this is the most we've ever had for the unlimited class. That's great news for the winner.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good chunk of change as these guys are battling hard, and we have Kenrick Meyer ready to take his battle on right now, but he's going to get chased down by Lipton's Corvette. All right, the lights are illuminated as Kenrick Meyer is going to take his lead position, getting chased down by Lipton and his Corvette. Both drivers disappear behind the grass hill and reappear and initiate. There we go. Kenrick Meyer initiated into outside zone number 1 as Lipton follows him down in. Kenrick gets in the box. Lipton avoiding matching the angle, trying to find his proximity to get himself into position for outside zone number 2, but Kenrick Meyer is going through the checklist with ease. Lipton's trying to keep up with that V8 powered of Kenrick Meyer as both drivers go through that inside clip. Kenrick doing a good job to float out to outside 4. Lipton trying to make an aggressive move now to fall into position right behind Kenny as Kenny's doing a great job through outside 4. Lipton's right on the backside of the E36 and pops out of the people's corner. A little too heavy a chew and a stab. Kenrick Meyer not even phased. That's my line, bud, as he rotates back up to the outside 6 and doing a great job keeping the taillights off of the wall and a solid lead lap out of Kenrick Meyer.
That's unfortunate. Was that a straighten there coming out of the hairpin? That's unfortunate. Yeah, we're going to need to see a really, really, really aggressive lead run from Lipton here, and Kenrick is going to want to chase just as close as Lipton did. We're going to take a closer look at outer zone number 5 of the hairpin because I saw some shenanigans leaving that turn. I don't know what was up with those boys. So let's take another look and see if we can break it down.
Lipton literally bare missing the rear bumper of the E36. Maybe had to stay off the throttle just a bit too long and got hung up. Kenrick Meyer, unfazed, said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Move."
All right, the judges are still taking a look at that run as we get Lipton back to the line so that he can lead and Kenrick Meyer will give chase.
Waiting for our lights to illuminate as the yellows do, our green also. Lipton taking that lead position through the chicane. Kenrick Meyer now to chase as both drivers blaze down the road course here at Raceway Park for the second round of the Gambler. This is the high roller class as Lipton clicks in to outside zone number 1. Kenrick Meyer needs a fall in position as Lipton's going super deep through 1. Kenrick showing a lot of patience as he rotates and waits for Lipton's Corvette to hit 2 and go down the hill for 3. Kenrick Meyer doing a patient chase, but we'd like to see a little more aggression out of Kenrick in the chase position as Lipton chucking it past that front inside clip. Lipton falls in position, and now Kenrick showing some aggression out through outside zone 4. Rotates behind the Corvette into the people's corner outside 5. Kenrick doing a good job. Lipton keeping it on the asphalt as both drivers doing a good job over the reference point. Lipton putting the power down. Kenrick showing some patience, giving it a little space to let Lipton give his line and fall into the spot.
Yeah, that was a great lead run by Lipton, aside from maybe one error going a few tires off in the outer zone number 1. But other than that, a great, confident lead run by Lipton. Kenrick doing an equally good job in the chase. I'm just wondering whether a few mistakes are going to decide this one.
All right, and it looks like we have an official result. A great drive out of Lipton, but Kenrick Myers will take the win. Kenrick Meyer, we'll see you in the finals.
Lipton, your day is not over yet. You will be battling for 3rd. You'll be battling the loser of the next battle, so stay close. If you need tires, get them now. We'll need you after this next battle.
Up next, our next battle for the last spot in the finals. Trevor and Josiah have been battling it out all day. Trevor walking away with a couple $100 extra thanks for the last man standing pot. Josiah taking out a couple of hard battles, and now he's ready to try to take out Trevor Tree, Mr. Airplane.
Trevor Root looks to be waiting just outside of the burnout box for his run, and Josiah should be heading to grid shortly to do battle so we can close out that other side of the bracket, and the winner of this battle will see our number 1 qualifier from yesterday, Kenrick Meyer, in the finals.
Now, if you've been hanging out all day and you might have forgotten, we still need to announce our winners and award all the big checks for our 235 tire class. Make sure after the conclusion of this top 16 here at the High Roller, we're going to do both award ceremonies for all the competitions here today at round 2 of the Gambler. Hey, Eastern Standard Time. We need you over here, bud. All right, looks like Josiah's machine is on and running and working his way out to the grid where he is getting patiently waited by Trevor Root, piloting that LSA V8 Supercharged E36. Him and his family built another car in preparation for his career in Prospect. Looking forward to watching him compete for the rest of the year, but right now he has to compete against the FDF man himself, Josiah, as he works his way out to the grid.
All right, we have Josiah heading up to the line so we can start sending those drivers into the burnout box so that they can do their burnouts and get up to the start line.
Just a reminder, Lipton, when you are ready, we need you back out the grid for the third place battle. This is your reminder, Lipton, and when you're ready, we need you out at the grid immediately for your third place battle.
All right, guys, who wants to see Josiah Fillets take the win? And where are Trevor Root fans at?
This is Trevor Tree Country. Here we go, the first half of the battle here as Josiah takes the lead and Root to chase. Both drivers click in. Josiah with an aggressive entry well before our last initiation point as Trevor Root trying to stick it back to the door of that FDF S14 as they click off outside zone number 1. Root maybe shallowing up just a little bit to keep up with that rocket ship of Josiah's as Josiah was working his way through the checklist here, what the judges want to see. Trevor Root doing a good job following that smoke stream into outside 4, getting right to the side of that S14, being super aggressive and jumping through the smoke and right to the side of Josiah's S14 through People's Corner outside 5. Josiah's starting to put the power back down now, but Root knows exactly where he needs to be and not scared to lick a taillight off, and he follows Josiah across the finish line.
Wow, that S14 is fast. That thing is fast. So, yeah, like you were talking about earlier, Mike, Josiah is just zooming through this course, and Trevor Root did make a slight correction in outer zone number 2, shallowing up to be able to get on his door. That's just a compromise that we see chase drivers have to make here and there. And personally speaking, from experience, I think the judges would rather see Trevor Root shallow up and then try to stay with Josiah, even though he's super fast, than to be too far back for the entire run.
Well, like we stated before, there is a ton of zones out here. And just like watching Dirk Stratton almost make a mistake in one zone and fix it mere feet into the next zone is exactly what the Gambler on the road course is all about. There is 6 outsides, that single inside clip. There are 7 judged areas on this massive road course, and we're only using half of it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That means that there's a ton of spots for error, but there's also a ton of spots to gain points. So the judges do love to see drivers, maybe they make a small error here and there, but it's also about how they save that, how they correct it, and how they come back from it. So
now, don't take anything away. You're going to stand on top of that box. You're damn near going to be perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, Josiah's already very close to it, looking super, super fast. So Trevor's going to have to pull something out here, something good. All right, the lights are on. They are out, and away we go. This time, Trevor Root leading and Josiah Falaise giving chase. Trevor is giving it all she's got as he comes into that entry, but Josiah enters directly on his door. They're zooming as they come to the first outer zone. Trevor Root is pouring smoked, but Josiah is staying with him. He is not phased as he's just about a car length back from Trevor. They're coming down into the hill, into outer zone number 3. Trevor Root does a good job filling that and hitting that inner clip as he comes to outer zone number 4, all the way at the edge of that zone, but Josiah is directly on his door, choking up to the side of it for outer zone number 5 on the people's corner. And Trevor Root is absolutely floored as he comes across that reference point and up to the bank turn of outer zone number 6, allowing Josiah to just check up right on the side of him. Wow, that was a great battle, you guys. Give it up for both the drivers.
Definitely make some noise for both Trevor and Josiah throwing it down here. Trevor just tapping the taillight through the last section of our course here. And you can see on our live stream side by side, you can see Josiah with a confident lead lap and Trevor doing everything he can to get that E36 back to the side, where on the other side of your screen, Trevor Root doing a fantastic job in the lead, but giving all the real estate to Josiah to play with. We're going to have to leave this in the judge's hand for a final deliberation for the official result, but definitely a great drive. Trevor Root already winning the last man standing pot, already has the money in his pocket. He's looking to take the win here and go into the finals, but he has to take out Josiah first. Both these guys want the top of the box, so it's definitely going to be close.
The loser of this battle will also face Lipton for the third place battle. So even whoever loses here, you still have an opportunity to stand on the box with the rest of the champions. You will just need to knock out Lipton to do it. And we have a decision. Josiah Falaise will get the win. Josiah gets the win. Trevor Root, we need you to change tires and hang around because you will see Lipton for the third place battle.
At this time, Lipton, I know Root's already there, but your team is in the stands. Lipton and Root, you are needed for your third place battle. Lipton and Root, you are needed for your third place battle. If you guys are joining us at home on the live stream, thank you for coming and joining us here at Raceway Park for the second round, high stakes of the Gambler. We've respected the FD ruling to not allow any extra practice, so we're over here on the road course for this round. Next round, if you want to get signed up, make sure you get over to racewaypark.com. We're going to be in the Drift Stadium, I believe. And if not, I prefer the road course. But either way, there is a ton of action on every course here at Raceway Park. So thank you guys for joining us on the live stream. Make sure you show your love and appreciation for our event sponsors that help give opportunities for our drivers to come out here and win a ton of cash, money, and prizes, as well as the opportunity to come drive against seasoned veterans pros.
Yeah, we have everyone out here today, from grassroots guys who street drove their car here, all the way up to FD drivers, current FD drivers, former FD drivers. So you don't need to be somebody to come out, but even if you are, you're welcome.
With the 2 tire classes as well, our high roller unlimited tire class, which is the competition format you guys are watching right now, and also our 235. There is a ton of options, and honestly, if you bring the tire, you can run all of it, just like Chris Knapp did. Chris Knapp ran a 235 class and the high roller class on the same car and just changed the tire diameter.
Yeah, that's a crazy move as well, because like we were saying earlier, a